Welcome to the On the Pen, the Weekly Dose podcast, your one-stop shop for obesity medicine news with your host, man on the pen, Dave Knapp. Welcome to the Tuesday, March 11th edition of On the Pen, the Weekly Dose podcast. I'm your host, Dave Knapp, man on the Manjaro. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen. Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Manjaro, Zepbound, Compound, that pen. It's what we talk about each and every week here at On the Pen, the Weekly Dose. Excuse me, frog in my throat. The funny thing is we've already done this podcast once today. We did this a little bit earlier at the normal bat time, the normal bat channel, and it wasn't streaming to YouTube or to Facebook, the two areas where people watch the most. And so we're doing it again. That's all right. I got a dry run, so this one better be good, right? We're going to talk about a couple interesting things today. We're going to talk about compound tirzepatide. Is it cooked? Is it cooked? We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about CagriSema and some of the data that we've gotten about CagriSema over the last couple of days. And we're going to wrap it up with some news about Viking Therapeutics, VK2735, one of our favorite topics here at OTP. But how are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. Hit that thumbs up button if you're just getting in here. That helps other people see this. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you give us a follow. Make sure you give us a subscribe on YouTube, because there's like 20 to 30% of you that watch on YouTube that aren't subscribed, and that really helps us out. So hit that subscribe button as well. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you leave it a 5-star rating and review. We just hit 200 reviews on the podcast, so thank you for those who have left reviews. I really appreciate y'all. But let's jump into it, shall we? Let's do this thing again, right? All right, I only have one kid home today, right? I only have one kid. So yesterday we had 3 kids home sick. Today we're down to 1. And as soon as I wrap up this podcast, I'm going to pick one up from school. So life is life right now. I do want to give you a little housekeeping announcement too for this week. This Thursday on the Pen Live, if you all have ever seen On the Pen Live, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Central, happens every week like clockwork, right? This week's guest is Dr. Tina Moore. For On the Pen this Thursday. So give Dr. Tina Moore some love in the chat if you're excited about that. She is like the what's the word I'm looking for? The pioneer in the idea of microdosing GLP-1s. And so I'm really excited to have that conversation with her. And so I'm excited about that. So lots going on, including lots going on in the world of compound tirzepatide. So what's going on in that world? Well, we didn't get the information that we wanted from the solution that we wanted out of that initial lawsuit between the OFA and the FDA as it relates to compound tirzepatide. Why? Well, basically, the judge denied the preliminary injunction, which would have actually stayed the FDA's ability to enforce anything over compounds until the trial was resolved or the lawsuit was resolved. We didn't get that. In fact, he denied it. And in his denial, basically, there's language baked in that gives an idea of how he's going to rule. He made a motion for a summary judgment. So that really just narrows the timeline. This thing will be resolved within about another month and a half, right? Another 6 to 8 weeks. This thing will be done. And it's likely not going to go the way the OFA wanted it to, or people relying on mass-produced compounds wanted it to go. So what happens from here? Well, the OFA has actually filed another, basically, I couldn't think of this the first time through either, and the word escapes, not even a difficult word, an appeal. Why is that such an elusive word today? They filed an appeal with the Fifth Circuit over what's kind of transpired in this court. And so the fight continues on, but the protection of compound tirzepatide is not going to be there, right? And this appeals court will be even a longer process, but it remains to be seen if there's an opportunity for them to step in and sort of halt enforcement. But for now, 503B pharmacies have until March 19th, which is 8 days from today, to stop selling compounded tirzepatide mass produced. Of course, you see the telehealth companies out there. Everybody is assuring everyone that they will continue with custom doses and custom formulations, which, as we know, and as the most informed obesity medicine community is at OTP, we all know that that's completely permissible under the 503A section of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. What remains to be seen is how will the FDA respond to that? Because the spirit of the 503A code is that compound pharmacies exist to offer a formulation, a custom formulation or a custom dose that is otherwise not commercially available because a patient has a medical need that precipitates that. And everybody's sort of flocking underneath this umbrella saying, you know, we're all going to just start operating under 503B codes or 503A codes. It remains to be seen how the FDA will respond to that. It remains to be seen how Lilly will respond to that. I think the bigger question is how will the FDA respond to it, because the FDA actually has the leverage to go in and really do something about this to make sure that things are being prescribed in a compliant manner. Will they? I don't know. Nobody knows the answer to that question. Lilly, I think, is a much more clear it's much more clear how they're going to respond. The cease and desist letters have already flown out from Eli Lilly. We know that they've been incredibly aggressive in defending their intellectual property. They will continue to be. What that all looks like and how it transpires will remain to be seen, and nobody will be following this closer than On the Pen. That's why I implore you, take 10 seconds. I literally checked out how long this took. It took me less than 10 seconds to type in onthepen.com on my phone and scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and just fill your contact information out there. Your phone will autofill it, hit submit. It takes less than 10 seconds, and then you're signed up for email alerts, and you will be able to stay in touch with the latest breaking news on this stuff. Because I'm serious, we used to do an article a week, 2 articles a week. Feels like we're doing about an article a day over at onthepen.com, and we always kick that off to your email inbox so that you can have the best information. If you're a content creator, there's a lot of people making news content these days. I've noticed there's a lot of people getting into obesity medicine news. I am thrilled about that. We were the forerunners in that. We've sort of carved out a niche, right? But if you want to get news, I know that many of you already are, get it to your inbox and you can jump on and make a video and spread the news, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So little plug for On the Pen's email list, because we put a ton of work into it. So it should be hitting everybody's inbox who that means something to. So yeah, that's basically what's going on, right? With compound tirzepatide. We just don't know how exactly Lilly will respond, or if the FDA has an appetite to respond in enforcement, but the FDA definitely has a lot of leverage here. Lilly will just scare people with lawsuits. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out, right? We'll have to see how it all shakes out, and nobody will cover it closer, I assure you of that. Make sure you hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you download the podcast. Make sure you do all the things. Moving on. Let's talk about CagriSema. CagriSema is the next generation of anti-obesity medicine and type 2 diabetes medication from Novo Nordisk, the maker of Ozempic. And basically what CagriSema is it takes the active ingredient in Ozempic. I can't get my camera to focus on it. Ozempic, just trust me. That's an Ozempic pen, I guess. This is an Ozempic pen after you've had a few, right? But takes the active ingredient semaglutide, which is a GLP-1 receptor agonist, combines it with cagrilintide, which is an amylin agonist, amylin being co-secreted in the pancreas with insulin, and it helps to do a lot of things that GLP-1 does. It's just another pathway to help people reduce their energy intake and ultimately helps them to become more insulin sensitive and lose weight, right? So there's big hopes for CagriSema because it is the next generation. And so what Novo Nordisk has really been hoping to do is to really differentiate CagriSema from Mounjaro and Zepbound, the GLP-1 GIP receptor agonist that many of you are on, including myself. So let's talk about how it's done. We've gotten top line data from some of the longer trials in both diabetes and obesity. Now, in obesity, we got some information back in December, which sent their stock absolutely plummeting by about 20%, I think, when they showed that they virtually had about the same exact weight loss numbers with CagriSema as tirzepatide did. Like almost the exact same numbers, 22.7% weight loss, maybe slightly higher with a 68-week versus 72 weeks in tirzepatide. So 1 month earlier the trial ended than the tirzepatide trial, but very similar results. So then it was like, we were hoping for better, right? They were hoping for 25%. Didn't really differentiate from tirzepatide. A little bullet point that I think is helpful for everybody to know if you haven't been following this closely, though, is the Novo Nordisk trials did not force people to go up in dose. They just, like, if you were tolerating it well, you got to camp out on that dose if that's what you and your doctor in the trial decided on. Where with Mounjaro and Zepbound, there was a forced dose escalation, like you were going to 15. I believe they did trials for 5 and 10, but the highest numbers come from 15. It's a dose-dependent drug in terms of the expected weight loss. But if you were going to 15, you were going to 15 to get that 22 and change number. You did not have the choice to just camp out on 10 if that's what was working for you. That's how the design of the trial was done in CagriSema. So it was a little bit different. So maybe not a fair assessment of what the maximum weight loss is compared to a trial where there's a forced dose escalation. Now with CagriSema, we just got data yesterday on the diabetes version. Now, the first really interesting note on this is that CagriSema didn't give us any data on A1C reduction. So if you're taking it and you're diabetic, one of the first things you want to know is, how does it work on your blood sugar? We didn't even get those numbers, which I think is potentially an indication where they could have released those numbers. If it did differentiate from tirzepatide, they could have released that data, and it would have taken some of the sting out of the fact that the weight loss with CagriSema for type 2 diabetes was 15.7%, like exactly what it was in the numbers for tirzepatide. So far, CagriSema has really failed to differentiate itself in a meaningful way from tirzepatide, and Wall Street has the Novo Nordisk stock paying the price for that. Again, different trial design. I think it's actually a better trial design for patient outcomes because, let's take a look at the real world. In the real world, a lot of patients have been forced to dose escalate on tirzepatide because that's what their doctors want them to do, because that's what they did in the trial. That's what the data shows. Furthermore, insurance companies, for some people getting coverage for these medications, insurance companies has forced dose escalation as well, because that's what the trial is designed. And so now you have external factors, but beyond just how the patient is tolerating it, how they're responding to the molecules, determining whether that patient moves up or not. And largely because of the way the trial is designed. I do like that Novo designed these trials to be a little bit more real world reflective. And I do think that maybe this is something that investors are missing when it comes to CagriSema. I believe that they may be missing the fact that this may help insurance coverage with CagriSema in terms of just mirroring the trial to reflect the real world a little bit more. Why? Well, a couple of things. I think they reduce side effects, they reduce dropouts, they do not require this forced dose escalation, which will cause people to jump off of the drug because they can't tolerate it. And so a lot of the fodder that insurance companies use to deny these medications will be sort of, taken away by ultimately not forced dose escalating. And so I just think it's going to be better for patients all around, and potentially better for coverage for insurance as well. So that's CagriSema. Now let's move on to Viking Tide. Viking Therapeutics, VK2735, one of our favorite topics to talk about on this channel. Of course, Sue the Dude, way back 2 years ago when we first started texting and getting to know each other, sent me an article about Viking Therapeutics, Viking Tide. So let's talk a little bit about Viking Tide today, because one of the big knocks on Viking Tide is that they weren't going to be able to bring this thing to market unless they partnered with a major pharmaceutical drug company that could actually manufacture this stuff, right? And I think whether they partner with somebody or not, they still needed to secure the ability to make this stuff, because Lilly and Novo have gobbled up every extra manufacturing capacity in the country to make their incretins. So this is pretty cool, because you saw Viking Therapeutics signed a broad manufacturing agreement with Corden Pharma to support the commercialization of VK2735. So the long-term agreement secures dedicated capacity for multi-ton annual supply of VK2735 active pharmaceutical ingredient, secures dedicated finish and fill capacity for 100 million annual auto-injector supplies, and an additional 100 million annual vial and syringe supplies. Now, one of the coolest things about Viking Tide, VK2735. It's a GLP GIP, just like tirzepatide, but it's showing that it's much more effective, perhaps with fewer side effects even than tirzepatide, right? But the most exciting thing is, in parallel with the injectable versions, which it sounds like they're going to release the vials right away. Smart. They're going to have their injector pins right away. Smart. So a couple different options. They have an oral version of VK2735 that is super exciting. The weight loss numbers with this are staggering. We've done videos on it. Go back and check them out. That's why you need to be following. Why aren't you following already? There's like 30% of you that watch this that don't follow. So hit the subscribe button. We do this for you. But anyways, the oral formulation is really exciting in my opinion, because the weight loss numbers are staggering, even higher than what we've seen with orforglipron, which will be the next oral to hit the market from Eli Lilly. I love that this is another player in the industry. This is not Lilly. This is not Novo, and that they're going to bring something to the market that is showing to be absolutely powerful. And now they've got the way to actually bring it to market, even if they don't get that big deal with a Pfizer or a AbbVie or whomever may be in the hunt for Viking Therapeutics. If they don't get that done, we're still super excited for the fact that they actually have the ability to bring this sucker to market. Now, let me know in the comments if you are excited about some Viking Tide. Viking Tide. Yeah, we are excited about this one at OTP. So they have the ability with this deal with Corden Pharmaceuticals to make 1 billion oral tablets. And like the best part about this contract is it says in the article here that Viking Therapeutics has the ability to expand this agreement with Corden Pharma. So that's exciting too, right? So lots of exciting things happening in the world of GLP-1s. If you are just finding out about these medications, I don't know how, you must have been living under a rock, probably a larger rock, right? Well, let's be honest, this is obesity medicine. We finally have treatments that can treat the disease. Like you have been fighting a battle where your biology is fighting against you, and these medications level that metabolic playing field and allow you a fighting chance to put that disease into remission. And in doing so, there are a lot of great providers out there that can help connect you with these treatments. And our friends at Roe have a whole stable of medical providers that can help connect you to these medications when medically necessary. And coupled with lifestyle modifications and interventions, patients lose 15 to 20% on their program in a year. It's called the Roe Body Program. You can learn more about it at roe.co/OTP to learn more, including side effects, because this isn't a free ride, right? There's always going to be trade-offs, and you want to be sure that you know what those potentials are. But check it out, roe.co/OTP, where you can learn more about the Roe Body Program. Roe helps keep the lights on here on the pen. They are our #1 core sponsor here at OTP, and we just so appreciative of them. I love them. They're great people. And the cool thing is, in this world of complete uncertainty with accessibility, they are winning the battle for patients when it comes to prior authorizations and getting coverage for the branded versions of these medications. Many people in the OTP community are letting me know right now that they switched over to Roe and they finally got approval for the branded version of Zepbound, the branded version of Wegovy. And so I'm just so thrilled. And of course, the single dose vials of Zepbound offered through Lilly Direct. You can get them all in the Roe. Like you literally download the Roe app, roe.co/OTP, sign up. You download the app and you can literally order, buy, and receive the Lilly vials right through Roe. So Roe's awesome. We love them. Check them out. If any of that connects with you. Thank you, Roe, for sponsoring the podcast. And thank you to each and every one of you for being the best part of what we do here On the Pen, the Weekly Dose podcast. Couldn't, wouldn't, and shouldn't do it without you. And today we did it twice. So thank you. If we caught it twice, let me know in the comments. But it's good to be with you here every day. Again, looking forward to this weekend where we have, or this Thursday rather, where we have Dr. Tina Moore, the actual like pioneer in microdosing GLP-1s. I'm so excited to have a chat with her. She's Thursday night's guest on the Pen Live. Listen, if there's something specific that you want me to talk to Dr. Tina about, why don't you shoot me an email at david@onthepen.com. I'd love to hear from you. But a very exciting show. I'm very honored that Dr. Tina would be willing to come over here. Of course, Decoding GLP-1. I'm always remiss. It's available, our book, basically helps you to have more comfortable conversations with your loved ones about being on the pen. It's available at Amazon. You can go to glpbook.com. It'll take you there. And if you want to get the signed copy, a signed copy of this, we have those available through our website. Just click GLP Book. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I cannot wait to do this again with you next week. Appreciate y'all. I got to go pick another one up from school, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, my friends. I really appreciate you being here with me today.